So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Kaduki back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, May 11th. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Tuesday, May 11th here today. We are now one day away from the schedule released for the NFL 2021-2022 season. So today we will learn tomorrow I should say, we will learn who the New York Jets will play week 1 through week 18, and who the New York Giants will play, and who the rest of the NFL will play, and ultimately who will they start off the season with. What will Zach Wilson's first game in a Jet uniform be? Where? Will it be home? Will it be on the road? Will it be prime time? It's going to be interesting. Will the New York Jets get a Sunday night football game? We have not had a Sunday night football game, I believe, since 2013. So will the New York Jets get a Sunday night football spot? What are going to be some of the big time matchups that we're all looking forward to? A lot of really good stuff. Now, not saying it's going to happen, but the Jets play the Falcons this season on the road. Now, one of the Falcons' home games this year will be in London. So, will the Jets be traveling to play the Falcons in London? What will this be like? It's going to be very interesting. I'm excited. It's 17 games, 18 weeks. First time in a long time we've had different slate than 16 games, 17 weeks. So, obviously an extra game added to the schedule. So, super exciting. I'm ready for it. I'll talk more about that tomorrow, but we're only one day away. So we'll find out who all the NFL teams play. And obviously, like we said, we know who we're going to play now, the opponents. It's just when we're going to play them, who are we going to play, where we're going to play, home or road, when. The New York Jets, for the past, it seems like every year we open up with the Buffalo Bills. Will we open up with the Buffalo Bills again? I don't know. So we'll see how it all plays out. I'm super excited for it. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there's a schedule special on NFL Network, which you can watch. So it should be fun. I'm excited. I'm ready for it. An opportunity to see who's playing who each week, and that's gonna be good. And tomorrow too, or Thursday actually, I'll do my predictions and stuff like that. I'll really get into that as we get closer to the season, but tomorrow on Thursday I'll kind of give you a little bit of a brief outlook, kind of give you my predictions week by week, and kind of say when they could win, and all that, and if they could win those games. So that kind of stuff there. So with all that being said, that's kind of just what I wanted to say there. To recap last night in sports, not much on last night, to be honest with you. I was watching the Angels-Astros last night, but not much on. Knicks weren't on, Mets weren't on, Yankees weren't on, Nets weren't on. So a lot of my favorite teams, Yankees and the Nets, didn't play. Then other New York sports teams, the Knicks and the Mets, didn't play. The Islanders did. But other than that, there was not too much action yesterday to recap in New York sports. But today, there's a lot of action today. Yankees play, Mets play, Knicks play. Knicks have a chance to clinch a playoff spot. I can't believe I'm saying that. If they win today, they will clinch a playoff spot. Either a win today or a Boston Celtics loss will mean they clinch a playoff spot. So they play the Lakers today. They wrap up their road trip, and we'll see if they can clinch a spot today. If they lose today and the Celtics lose, they clinch a spot. If they win today and the Celtics win, they clinch a spot. Let's just say this. If the Knicks win, they're in the playoffs. Leave it at that. If they lose, Celtics got to also lose. Then you'll get into different other things that could happen. But let's just say this. If the Knicks win, they clinch a playoff spot. We'll keep it the easy way, and I'm sure that's what Tom Thibodeau is delivering to his players. A win, and we're in. Forget about all the other, possibilities. If we win, do our job, we're in. If we don't, we'll probably still make the playoffs. But, hey, you want to get it done. You want to get, clinch the playoffs. So if you win, you're in. That's how I see if I'm a New York Knicks fan. I'm not, but if you're a New York Knicks fan, I look at it as, instead of looking over all the possible options, if you win, you're in. Leave it at that. So, Knicks play today. Nets, like I mentioned, also play. Yankees play. So we're back onto the nightly sports are back on tonight. Usually Mondays are usually not a very packed sports day. I mentioned that yesterday. A lot of times it's a travel day for a lot of the baseball teams out there. It's usually just sometimes an off day, just, coming out of a long weekend, where you have Saturday, Sunday games and, the whole week, usually it's just a day off for a lot of these teams. But we're back at it tonight. So Yankees, Nets, Knicks, Mets all play tonight. Yankees start up a road trip. We're playing against the Rays, then Baltimore, and then Rangers, and then back home. So it's kind of weird because we start in Tampa, then you go up to Baltimore, then you go all the way back out west to Rangers, and you come all the way back to New York to play the Knicks. So, or not to play the Knicks, to play back home, rather. So that's what I got. That's kind of the stuff for New York sports there. But let's get into the topics for today. These will be the topics for today's podcast. I know Tim Tebow signed yesterday. Okay, I get that. I might talk about it. I know it's big news, but to be honest, it doesn't thrill me that much. Like, I get it, it's big news, and you could say how much this might sound, stupid what I'm about to say. So what, he signed? Like, I don't know. It's not something I decided to talk about. I wanted to talk about two other topics. I might get to Tim Tebow one of these days, but, to be honest, I don't even really know if he's going to make the roster. It's not really worth my time talking about, a guy who hasn't played in the NFL in over 3,000 days, talk about how he can try to be an impact player for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just don't know how I feel about that. So, I was going to talk about him, but then, there was some other news that popped up, so I just decided, you know what, I'm going to talk about these other topics, and we're going to do that. So, today's topics are Ryan Lindgren signs an extension with the New York Rangers. Yes, you heard that right. The New York Rangers have agreed to terms with Ryan Lindgren. So Ryan Lindgren will be with the New York Rangers here for 3 more years. He signed a 3-year, $9 million deal, 3-year of AAV, average annual value, which will be 3 years, $3 million, so $3 million each year. A very team-friendly deal, a very player-friendly deal. Actually, more team-friendly, I would say. I'm actually, some players I would think would want more, but Ryan Lindgren, very team-friendly deal. Has been one of our better defensemen on the team. Have been one of our better, I would just say, kind of guys that go out there and just, really, really have, it's just one of those guys that, he's a little bit of, I guess you can kind of call goon. He's going to fight, for his teammates. He's going to back up his teammates. If his teammate takes a hard hit, he's going to let the other team know what they just did. So, obviously, Ryan Lindgren signs an extension. I'll talk about that, talk about Impact Rangers. And not that this is a history-making move, but it is Chris Drury's, I would say, first move, really, as a New York Ranger general manager. Obviously, he might have made some of these other small moves here and there, calling up players, but this is his first official offseason move. I'm sure there will be plenty more, as many of us expect the Rangers will have a very active offseason this year. So we'll get into that. Then we'll get into Yankees activate Luke Voit off the IL. Yes, the Yankees have finally activated Luke Voit off the IL. I shouldn't say finally, because honestly, he came back earlier than many of us expected. They said about mid-May, but I just assumed he would resume baseball activities and stuff like that around mid-May. I didn't think Luke Voit was going to be back until about June to late May, early June. I said it, the day he went on the IL, I was like, yeah, forget about this. Now he's going to be out for 2 months. Sure enough, he was only out for really the first month of the season. And he comes back today, comes back for this road trip. He's going to help this lineup out a lot, especially that first base has been an issue this year. We brought up Jay Bruce, not the answer. Mike Ford has struggled. You put LeMahieu there who does well, but LeMahieu can't be your everyday first baseman. So, much needed bat and defense back in the lineup for the Yankees, and they get that back in Luke Voit. So, we'll get into that. Then we'll finish off the podcast with the normal New York sports update. Like always, covering the NBA, NHL, MLB, kind of just what's going on around the sports world. Yeah, like I mentioned, Yankees start a set today, 3-game set against the Rays. Can we finally beat the Rays? Can the Yankees beat the Rays today? Come on. That's all I want. The Yankees, if they could just beat the Rays, take 2 out of 3 from the Rays. Because the Rays have had the Yankees number for a long time now. Can we just beat the Rays? All this talk about, the Yankees have a better team, prove it. Go out there and prove it. The Yankees are playing better baseball. We are. I can't deny that. So go out there, prove that you are the better team. All these players and coaches and all that, everybody saying, oh, the Yankees are the better team. Go out there and prove that you're the better baseball team. So with all that being said, this is the BSN Network podcast, and let's get right into it. So Rangers agree to terms with Ryan Lindgren. So Chris Drury, not that this is a record-setting move or a history-making move. We're not going to look back at this move and be like, oh my gosh, remember when we signed him and it made history across the NHL, okay? It's a big move for the New York Rangers. It's a very smart move for the New York Rangers, but I guess you can kind of say this is really Chris Drury's first off-season move that he has made as a New York Rangers general manager. And obviously the New York Rangers, I would say, officially concluded their season yesterday. They had their exit interviews. They had all that stuff yesterday, their exit interviews, press conference, kind of just the normal stuff. They did a lot of, cleaning out of the locker, just, officially, ending out the year, obviously, and yesterday the message was really put across. The message was, we got to make the playoffs next season. We got to make the playoffs next year. That was a message. The word playoffs got tossed around a lot yesterday, and it made sense. I mean, Rangers got to make the playoffs next season. And like I said, this is Chris Drury's probably first of many moves this offseason and many moves to come here in the coming future here. Obviously, this year we have a ton of cap space. We have a lot of money to spend. A lot of people expect now that with Chris Drury as a GM, we're going to do even more. A lot of people believe Chris Drury is going to try and get a lot of stars out there so we can win kind of a win now type team. And a lot of people is going to believe he's going to spend money. So I think this is really his first move of what I think is many to come, whether those are trades, signings, releasings, contract extensions, whatever those are. I do believe the Rangers have an active all season. It all starts here with the Ryan Lindgren extension. It could be a coaching change. There's going to be a lot the Rangers are going to do throughout the offseason. And obviously when we get back to hockey action in October, this team's definitely might look a little different. The coaching staff might look a little different. It's going to be more of a revamped, ready-to-go playoff New York Rangers hockey team is what I believe. So let's get into this actual move, though. So the Rangers have agreed to sign Ryan Lindgren. It's a 3-year deal. $3 million AAV, which is average annual value. You could call it AAS, average annual salary, whatever the case may be. It's AAV, so average annual value. He's going to get $3 million. So he's going to get $3 million a year. So it's going to be 3 years, a $9 million deal. Which is just mind-boggling to me because, a lot of people always, some people don't like the big contracts and stuff like that. And like I said, I have no issue with that. But, it's crazy how, with hockey, it's crazy. It's so different. Like a $9 million contract, that's like their average. But in the MLB, you get these guys signing these big $100, $200 million deals. It's crazy the difference from hockey to baseball, hockey to football, hockey to NBA. Hockey does not get nearly as much money as some of these other sports and does not give the players as much money, and that's just how it is. It's always been that way. It always will be. A lot of these guys that play hockey, though, not calling them more passionate for the sport, but they're more, they're not always focused more on the money. They kind of just want to go out there and play. A lot of these guys have been playing this sport for a long time. So when they get up there, they don't care how much they're making. They kind of just want to go out there and help their team win. But with this back to the Ryan Lindgren point, Ryan Lindgren, obviously, defenseman for the New York Rangers. And I mentioned this a couple of days ago, and I probably mentioned it within the past week or two. I've probably mentioned the fourth line for the New York Rangers and our defense, and us having another big body type player, another guy. I don't try, and I'm not being mean when I say this because it's the true hockey name. People literally call them a goon. A goon is a guy that fights a lot, a guy that gets into a lot of fights, a guy that's going to help his teammates, a guy that's going to almost, you can kind of say, he's going to protect his teammates, that, he's going to protect his teammates in a way. And what I mean by that is, if his teammate's getting pushed, if his teammate, is getting a lot of penalties against him, or, I don't know, for example, the Tom Wilson Rangers fight, right? Obviously, with that, right, when they saw Artemi Panarin get thrown to the ground, Ryan Lindgren would be one of those guys, the next time he's on the ice, he would make the player pay for it that threw that guy to the ground, or got into a fight or something, or he's chirping or something. Ryan Lindgren would be the guy in the team to step up and, help out his team, step up, protect his teammates, step up, and, step up and say, hey, quit doing that or whatever, and he'll fight him and he'll do that. And that's what you need. And that's what I want to go back to my last point here. I've been talking about the fourth line for the New York Rangers here for the past couple weeks. I've been talking about arguably, you could even say, I don't know, I just shouldn't have said arguably, but you could say for the past, really the entire season, I've talked about how our fourth line could use one of these guys or use another one of these guys. The team in general could use a guy like a Ryan Lindgren. And we're getting a guy back. So I would tell you this. First of all, it's a very good move because we don't have many guys. We don't have many guys in this team that can really fight. We have a lot of forwards on this team. We have a lot of guys. We have defensemen, but we don't have defensemen that are really going to go out there and fight, protect his teammates. Really, you could almost make the argument that Ryan Lindgren's our only one. You could say Brendan Smith might be, but I would say Ryan Lindgren tops Brendan Smith in terms of getting into fights, backing up his teammates, winning close battles, hard-hitting player. I would say Ryan Lindgren does that. And the Rangers this season had a big issue throughout the entire year. We had a big issue when we went up against better teams, and we also went up against, I would say, I don't want to call them, not dirty teams, but we went up against teams like the Capitals and, teams like the Islanders, hard-hitting type teams that play very good defense, right? The Islanders play very good defense. A team that closes gaps quickly, where it turns into more of a physical game. The Rangers struggled a lot with that this year, and it showed. Down the stretch against the Islanders, we couldn't beat them. We looked flat against the Islanders, losing 6-1, then getting shut out, right? We looked flat against the Islanders a lot. But when we play some of these other teams like the Devils, the Sabres, the Flyers are 50-50. The Flyers, when they're healthy, they can be a good team, but the Rangers caught them a couple times this season with a lot of injuries. Not just injuries, a lot of stuff with the COVID list. A lot of their players like Claude Giroux and a lot of those guys who were stuck on the COVID list. So they lost a lot of key players in that way with that, and the Rangers were lucky to get some of those games in while those players weren't there, so they were able to get some easy wins there. But a lot of times we saw this with the Rangers this season. They could crush the teams that created lots of space, right? The Sabres, for example. There was a lot of space, a lot of opportunity for puck movement, a lot of opportunity for passing, a lot of opportunity for just moving and maneuvering, right? The Rangers crushed those teams. We saw it. We had a 4-game sweep. We had a 4-game sweep against the Devils early on in the year. So obviously, in regards to that, and then we go and play the Islanders, we didn't do well at all. We looked terrible against the Islanders because we couldn't win close matchups. We couldn't win close battles, and we weren't able to get the job done in those areas. And Ryan Lindgren was our only guy that was really, really physical when it came down to those close physical games. And we've talked about constantly, as the New York Rangers fans and even the Rangers as an organization have mentioned, we could use another one of these guys that wins close battles, that's very physical, that he's gonna push back. The Rangers had a lot of times this year where we would get pushed, we would get hit, we would get pushed, we would get hit into the boards, we would get all this stuff, and we wouldn't fight back. Ryan Lindgren would only be one of those only guys that would fight back. So the Rangers needed another one of these guys like that, and we couldn't afford to lose a guy like Ryan Lindgren. And that's what we needed. And I know a lot of people might want to say this about Ryan Lindgren. Oh, let's talk about the goal scoring, right? Oh, his goal scoring hasn't been great. Okay, I understand that. He's a defenseman. He's not a goal-scoring defenseman. He's a guy, he's physical. He's going to hit. He's going to block shots. He's going to get into fights. I love the way Ryan Lindgren plays the sport of hockey. I love it. He's not dirty. He does it the right way. If you see someone getting knocked around, he's going to come back at you. If he gets hit, he's going to come right back at you. He plays hockey the right way. And everyone might want to talk about, he only scored 1 goal in, this many games. Yeah, well, he's a defenseman that doesn't shoot much and that isn't a goal scorer. Defensemen, first off, aren't goal scorers usually. They aren't very big goal scorers. But they do score. But Lindgren isn't even close to really a big goal scorer. He's a guy that's more of a hard-hitting type guy that's going to pass a lot. He's going to look for the open man. He's going to win a lot of one-on-one physical battles. The Rangers needed a guy like this, and we couldn't afford to lose a guy like this, so we're keeping Lindgren, and I would love for us to go out and get another guy because there's a possibility we lose Brendan Smith in the offseason. I believe he's a free agent, so the Rangers will have to make the decision, or I don't know if he's a free agent or if it's an option or something, but we very well could lose Brendan Smith. And not saying Brendan Smith hinted towards it yesterday, but in his his press conference yesterday, Brendan Smith did say that he's not sure what his future holds with the New York Rangers. So Brendan Smith days as a New York Ranger very well could be numbered. So you're already losing a guy who wins physical battles. They're not as good as Lindgren, but he can be physical. So you needed to bring a guy back like Ryan Lindgren, and the Rangers do that here. And like I said, it's a very team-friendly move. I don't see why this move wouldn't work out. But let's just say 2 years into this deal, Lindgren's terrible. He's not playing physically. He's not physical. He's not passing the puck like he usually does. Let's just say he's playing terrible. Well, it's such a small deal. It's 3 years, $9 million total, $9 million, right? So it's such a small deal. It's very light against the cap. So you go ahead and say, hey, it doesn't work out. It's not like you invested everything in this guy, right? And to be honest, I'm surprised Lindgren might have actually accepted this move because the way he plays and the way he helps this team, the Rangers have such a big hole in the physicality part of this team. And Ryan Lindgren is physical, but we need way more guys in it. The Rangers need a guy like him. And we've got it, but we need a lot more physicality. This team does not have much physicality. I can name, and I don't mean this in a mean way. Hockey, it's a physical sport. But, like Artemi Panarin, he's not very physical. And I like Artemi Panarin. He's my favorite player, right? He's great. I'm not trying to, but for example, look at him when he tried to get into a fight. He didn't win. Or look at a guy like, Mika Zibanejad. He's not a fighter type. These guys are more shot. These guys are more, guys that are going to be able to shoot a lot, score a lot, make the star-studded plays. Lindgren's not that flashy player. He's the physical guy. And a lot of times people overlook those guys. They'll be like, oh, yeah, look at Lindgren not doing it. Yeah, like Lindgren, he's a guy that doesn't load up the stat sheet. But that's because he doesn't need to. A lot of what he does is a lot of hustle. It's a lot of physical stuff. It's a lot of fighting. He's not going to fill up the goals and assists stat sheet. He's going to fill up the physicality part of the game. And you see him on the ice. He's always making an impact. And that's what Ryan Lindgren does. And the Rangers are one of the most least physical teams in the NHL. And Lindgren obviously is very physical, but one physical guy on the entire roster isn't enough. So definitely a good move to extend Ryan Lindgren. And definitely Chris Drury, that's got to be one of his top priorities this offseason. Outside of maybe making a hard push for Eichel and whatever you do with the head coach, you've got to bring another physical guy into this roster. Lindgren, another physical guy. Let's just say Brendan Smith might come back. I don't know. All of a sudden, now this team looks a whole lot more physical if you can bring someone else in. So definitely, I like the move by the New York Rangers. So Rangers agree to terms with Ryan Lindgren. New York Rangers president and general manager Chris Drury announced today that the team has agreed to terms with defenseman Ryan Lindgren on a 3-year contract. Now, this was yesterday, so today was technically yesterday, what it says on here. Lindgren, 23 years old, skated in 51 games with the Rangers this season, registering 1 goal and 15 assists for 16 points, along with a plus 20 rating and 35 penalty minutes. He received the Players Player Award in 2020-2021, which is given annually to the Ranger who is selected by his teammates. Best exemplifies what it means to be a team player. So I don't know if I said that earlier, but he did win the award. I know Brendan Smith won the award and won an award yesterday. Ryan Lindgren won the best teammate award, I guess you can kind of call it, Players Player Award, and Adam Smith won team MVP. And I mentioned this earlier. He's a very good teammate. He's a great teammate. He's a guy that if he sees one of his teammates getting knocked around, pushed around, getting hit hard, he's going to go out there and give it right back to the guy who is pushing his teammate around. He's very physical. He sticks up for his teammates, right? And he might not load up the stat sheet, but he plays the game the right way. He's a team player. He's not worried about himself. He's worried about helping out the team and ultimately out there to win hockey games. Lindgren established career highs in several categories in 2020-2021, including assists, points, plus-minus rating, and hits. 98 hits in 51 games. There's 82-game season. He didn't get there. This season, he had a great year. And he led the team in plus-minus rating this season. He was one of the only 3 Rangers who recorded 90 or more hits and 50 or more block shots this season. He gives up his body. I mean, he does. He gives up his body. I mean, he's blocking shots. I mentioned earlier, he's a great shot blocker. He blocks shots. He gets in fights. He pushes. He shoves. He's physical. He gives up the body to help the team win. I mean, there's not much else that you can that want more in a player. At the time, he suffered an upper body injury on April 29th. So he did, I believe he did, yes, so he obviously suffered an upper body injury. Lindgren was one of the only 4 Rangers and the only defenseman who played in each of the team's first 51 games of the 2020-2021 season. He obviously missed the rest, which definitely hurt us, when we played the Islanders and some of the better teams down the stretch. He ranked second on the Rangers in average shorthanded ice time this season, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And he currently ranks 5th in the NHL, minimum 115 of shorthanded ice time in power play goals against per 60 minutes of shorthanded ice time in 2020-21. He was a big part of the reason why the New York Rangers had one of the better power. We were top 10, top 5. We were top 5 there for a little bit in a penalty kill percentage, and he was a big part. Kreider was a big part. Buchnevich was a big part. He really this season broke out as a penalty killer. You had, obviously, Lindgren was another big part out there for a long time. Another guy that blocked a lot of shots. When you're shorthanded, the team's going to get a lot of shots on goal on you, and he was a big part of, blocking those shots and getting in front of them. Lindgren was not on the ice for a power play goal against the 20 consecutive games from January 24th at Pittsburgh to March 9th at Pittsburgh. 51 minutes, 30 seconds of shorthand ice time over that span. The 6'0", 190-pounder has skated in 116 career NHL games over parts of 3 seasons, 2018-2019 and 2020-2021. All with the Rangers, registering 2 goals and 28 assists for 30 points, along with a plus 30 rating and 90 penalty minutes. Since the start of his first full season in the NHL in 2019-2020, Lindgren is tied for first among NFL defensemen in penalties drawn, 42, which is, like I said, a part of being physical. He's going to draw penalties, right? It's a part of being physical. But it's not dirty. He's not like a Tom Wilson. He plays the game the right way. In addition, his plus 36 rating since the start of the 2019-2020 season is currently the 9th best among NFL defensemen over that span. All right, so the Burnsville, Minnesota native has represented the United States in several tournaments. Lindgren helped the United States win a gold medal at the 2017 IIHF World Junior Championship, a bronze medal at the 2018 IIHF World Junior Championship, and a bronze medal at the 2016 IIHF U18 World Championship. And he was teammates with current Rangers teammate Adam Fox in each tournament. He served as one of the 2018 IIHF World Junior Championship as well as the United States captain during 2016 IIHF U18 World Championship and during the 2014 World U17 Hockey Challenge. Lindgren was acquired by the Rangers from Boston on February 25th, 2018. He was selected by the Bruins in the second round, 49th overall of the 2016 NHL entry draft. So, like I mentioned earlier, Fox was named team MVP. Lindgren selected as the recipients of the Players Player Award, and Smith named the winner of the John Halligan Good Guy Award. So those were the 3 Ranger Award winners, and obviously the best teammate went to Ryan Lindgren, and I couldn't agree more. Not saying the other guys weren't good teammates, but it goes off of the category of helping teammates, backing them up, big spots, physicality. You see a guy getting pushed around, he's going to go out there and make him pay for it. And I wish Lindgren was on the ice. He obviously was injured for the final 4 games of the season. That Capitals big brawl that happened, he wasn't out there. And if he was, I could have guaranteed you he would have been right up in Tom Wilson's face. And, he would have been right up in his face. And he would have been right up in Tom Wilson's face. And he would have, made his presence felt, to not do that to his teammates. Especially not to do that to Artemi Panarin, who is one of the best players in the NHL and one of the best players on the New York Rangers. So, obviously, definitely a good move. A very team-friendly move. 3-year deal. $3 million AAV. 9 million total. And like I said, if it's a low risk, high reward. I mean, the risk is so low. First of all, I don't think he's all of a sudden just not going to be good. And second of all, let's just say he is. You're not giving him that much. It's not like you're fully invested in this dude for a ton of money. So it's a good move. Definitely a good move. Very team-friendly move. And the Rangers, something that the Rangers need terribly is more physicality. They're only helping their physical game. And like I said, that's one of the Rangers' top priorities this offseason. Out of everything, coaching, one of their top priorities. Coaching and maybe the pursuit of Jack Eichel might be in front of it. But other than that, we got to either trade or go out and sign, whatever the case may be. We got to sign some physical guys. Because Lindgren can't be the only one on this team truly physical. So, definitely a good move by the New York Rangers. A very team-friendly move. And Ryan Lindgren, welcome back to the New York Rangers. So, I mentioned some of his stats earlier, obviously. Not that I wanted to, kind of wanted just to look over him a little bit again. I went into some of the other stats. Another thing with him is he's only 23 years old. So, another thing, he's still young. It's not like he's 30 years old and towards the end of his career. He's still young. So, obviously, a guy who, he's played 116 career games. Another thing I wanted to mention, too, was obviously a 3-year, $9 million contract. Another thing I wanted to mention, too, with Ryan, in regards to Ryan Lindgren, is obviously he's not going to load up all the stat category, right? He's not going to load up goals. He's not going to load up assists. Actually, assists is pretty good, I got to admit. He's had 28 assists in his career. Right, he's not going to load up stat category, but that's because, or the I guess you can kind of say, like, skill point stat category in a way. Like, it's not like, he's got 30 points in his career, but he's going to load up the hits, he's going to load up the fights, he's going to get penalty minutes. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, a guy who's physical and gets in fights and likes to hit, it's going to happen. And the Rangers, we saw this season. Their biggest weakness was in those games with the more physical teams, the better teams, where they didn't give them much space to create time and make good passes. When there's a lot of open ice, the New York Rangers look like a best team in the league. When there's not, and it comes down to close games and a lot of physical and closing windows quickly and not much time to make passes, we look terrible. And that's why we need physicality like Ryan Lindgren. So, definitely like the move. I've mentioned it about 1 million times already. But yes, Ryan Lindgren is extended by the New York Rangers. So, coming up next here, I wanted to get into Luke Voit has activated from the New York Yankees. I will tell you how this is a big impact for the New York Yankees as a team. Obviously, the home run leader from last season in the MLB. Obviously had the partially torn knee after he recovering from left knee surgery. It was the left knee, I believe. So, the left knee surgery, I thought he was going to be out for much longer. It was a great rehab. Opening day, he came out into the field in crutches. And a month later, he's going to be playing in his first game tonight of the 2021 MLB season. So, I'll tell you how this is very big for the New York Yankees coming up next. Alrighty, so New York Yankees Luke Voit returns from 10-day IL after recovering from left knee surgery. I would like to say this first. Some of you might not care about my fantasy baseball team, but this does help my fantasy baseball team out a lot. Luke Voit, I drafted him. I drafted him, and it was before the knee surgery hit. If I heard that he partially torn his ACL and I didn't draft yet, I probably wouldn't have took Luke Voit, but I took him. Then he had a partially torn ACL, so I decided, I put him on my IL. So he's been sitting on my IL for a very long time. I got to think, it's been it's been a month, but I did my draft about a week and a half probably from the season. So he's been sitting on there for, definitely over a month here. And now I took him off today. I ended up dropping Michael Taylor. I'll get into more of it later, but I ended up dropping him. So not only does it help my fantasy baseball team that many of you might not care about, but it does help the New York Yankees, and that's the part that many of you probably came here to listen for this. So obviously the New York Yankees, and I mentioned this a couple days ago, or maybe I mentioned yesterday. I don't even know. I talk about so much, and I do it for, I talk about so much and so many topics. I sometimes forget, when I talk about stuff. So I'll just say this. I said it. Recently, I was talking about the New York Yankees. I do think it was yesterday, I do believe, because I was coming out of the weekend with the New York Yankees. Obviously, the 2 walk-offs on Saturday. Gleyber and Sunday was Stan. Yesterday was obviously the off day, so I was talking about the Yankees a little bit to open up the pod. And I mentioned this, and I've said this, and a lot of Yankees fans have said this, and people around the MLB, and there's no denying it. And as a Yankees fan, I'm going to be honest, the Yankees haven't even hit their max potential yet this season. As a matter of fact, they still don't look like the New York Yankees we all expected them to be. Now, are they looking a whole lot better than they did early in the year? Yeah. Early in the year, they looked like one of the worst teams in the MLB. Now they're finally looking at the team that's going to try and make a strong playoff push. Now, they're still not looking like the World Series contending Yankees team. Their starting pitching has been much better. Their bullpen hasn't been great. But I can't complain too much because at the beginning of the year, their bullpen was dominant. It's not going to be dominant all year long. It's going to hit a little bit of a rough stretch. Right now, I would say, is the Yankees' bullpen rough stretch kind of right now. I would say right now, this is the time it's hitting a rough stretch. Your bullpen's not going to be dominant for 162 games. It's going to hit patches. Even players will. You're not going to be dominant for 162 games. There's some players out there that will. Mike Trout, it seems like every game he's doing something special. Whether that's in the field, at bat, whatever he's doing. Base running, whatever the case may be. It seems like he's doing special every night. But he's Mike Trout. He'll go down as one of the best of all time, if not the best of all time. Okay, so the Yankees right now, they still haven't hit their max potential. Their hitting still isn't hitting like many of us expected them. Now, can I complain? No. We're 18-16. I shouldn't be complaining too much because earlier in the year, we looked terrible. So at least now we're above 500, and at least now our pitching's been good. So I'm not going to sit here and complain after we just had a 7-2 homestand. But it's the truth, though. The Yankees still are not hitting like many of us expected. And it's going to take some time. Like I said, it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, all of us Yankees fans obviously hope that it was just April. Now they break out in May. I still wouldn't say they've broken out in May yet. They've had a couple really good games, but they're still not hitting like they always do. And I think this is where the season could turn around for the New York Yankees. And yes, baseball is a very, very team sport. It's a very big team sport. It is. You're not going to have one player on a team, and it's proof. Mike Trout's arguably the best player of all time. Okay? He's on the Los Angeles Angels. If it was a one-man sport, if it was a one-man thing, if all you needed was one great player on your team, the Angels would win the World Series every year. They don't. They barely can make the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs in a long time. Baseball is a team sport. It's 1 through 9. You need your guys to hit 1 through 9. You can't just have the first 3 batters getting on and in the next 5, 6 striking out. We saw that. We see it all the time. You can't have a guy that hits a double every at-bat and then the batters in front of him or behind him, they can't get a hit. That's an issue. So the Yankees have had a little bit of a hole in their order. And Luke Voit could be these, I don't want to say savior because it's not like we're in the dump right now. We're 18-16. It's not like we need a savior to take us out from, we're so bad. It's not like we need someone to save the team, save the season. We're 18-16. We're not in an awful position. Now, we're already in a position that, Yankees fans like? No. I don't like only being 2 games above 500. I love a lot more. Now, I'm getting a little picky. But Luke Voit could be the spark the Yankees need. And I think he could. I think he will. He could be the spark the Yankees need. Not only in the lineup, not only just in the locker room and on the team and at bat, but at first base. The Yankees this season, their first base situation has been brutal. We brought up Jay Bruce, who obviously did not get the job done. We've brought up Mike Ford. I like Mike Ford a lot. I think the guy's got a lot of talent, but he is sad. He has not worked out this year at all. He has not hit very well at all. And then you have LeMahieu that gets mixed in there, here and there, but then you got to go back to Ford because then Odor gets hurt. The Yankees' first base this season has been wild. It's been like it's almost like it seems like everyone's playing first base. And now we finally get Luke Voit back. And first base in the batting order has been an issue too. Because they haven't gotten production in the batting order from first base. Bruce didn't give them anything, and Mike Ford has also been struggling as well. So now we're finally getting the home run leader from last season, the good defender, our everyday first baseman back in Luke Voit. And now you look at the lineup and you're like, it's complete. It's Judge, it's LeMahieu, it's Judge, it's Stanton. Hicks, Voit. Hicks hasn't been playing good, but now it's the lineup we all envisioned. Now it's what people think is the World Series contending lineup. There's no longer that hole at first base. That deep, dark hole that Yankees were in at first base. It's been a tough stretch the first month of the season at the first base position. And with Odor getting hurt, then that eliminated putting LeMahieu at first. Because LeMahieu had to play second or third. I think he slipped in at short. I don't even know. LeMahieu's everywhere. And he does it all well. He hits well. He fields well. LeMahieu's he's just a natural at it. So the Yankees, this is the spark that the New York Yankees need. And maybe with them getting one of their better bats back, a good fielder back, maybe them just getting Voit back, gets them fired up, and maybe we take 2 out of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays. Maybe we do. Now, I want to say this first. Am I expecting Luke Voit to go out there tonight, go 5 for 5 and hit for the cycle? No. It's going to take some time. Okay, he missed the first month of the season. Today is technically Luke Voit's opening day, a month into the year. So, and that's another thing too. He's not going to play every day to start off. I would say for about a week and a half, 2 weeks here, he's going to probably play maybe a game. He's probably going to play today. I can probably guarantee you he'll probably sit tomorrow just to give him some rest. And especially how Boone is. He sits a lot of players at some random times. Now, Voit, it makes sense. A guy he's coming back from a knee injury. I don't see why they would just play Voit every day. I don't really want him to. I want to, not that I like Voit a lot, but I don't, there's no need. Play it safe with him. So Luke Voit, the plan for him probably is to play today. Then I wouldn't be surprised to see him take a day off tomorrow, then play again. And you slowly get into the routine of, playing 2-3 days, then a day off, then playing 2 days, day off. And then eventually playing every day. It'll probably take about a week or so for him to finally get back into the groove. I bet you, I could almost guarantee you that he's not going to play tomorrow. He'll play tonight. Hopefully he'll do well. Hopefully he comes out of the game healthy and nothing's wrong. Tomorrow will be like a day off, first game back. You got to let him ease into it. You're not just going to throw him right into the fire, have him play every game for the rest of the season. You're going to have to ease him into it. So that's how I see it. But it's a much-needed bat back in the lineup. A guy who led the league in home runs. And that's another thing, too. The long ball this season for the Yankees has hurt him at times. The Yankees have had a couple big situations where they rely on the long ball in years past, and we haven't been able to get it done. So we're bringing a guy in that can hit the long ball, that can hit in big situations. Luke Voit back in the lineup. Very happy about this. And I think the recovery went great. And I promise I said this. Now I was wrong. So I shouldn't be proud of admitting to this. But when Luke Voit went on the IL, that day I literally said, he's probably going to be out till June. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do at first now? I was like, okay, Jay Bruce is definitely going to get called up. But hey, he came back. I mean, it's a guy who on April 1st, on opening day, was walking out into the field in crutches. And now May 11th, a month and 10 days later, he is going to be playing in his first game. So a great comeback by Luke Voit, a great rehab, and now he's back in a New York Yankees uniform. Now he's back playing baseball, playing at first base, and a huge bat that the Yankees gain in the lineup. So New York Yankees, Luke Voit returns from 10-day IL after recovering from left knee surgery. St. Petersburg, Florida, obviously is the site of tonight's game. Major League home run champion Luke Voit was activated from the 10-day injured list by the New York Yankees and is set to make his season debut against the AL champion Tampa Bay Rays on Tuesday night in St. Petersburg, Florida. Obviously, that's what it was earlier. So then Voit 30 had surgery March 29th to repair a torn meniscus in his left knee and hit .389, 7 for 18 with 2 doubles and 3 home runs during a 5-game injury rehabilitation assignment from May 4th to May 9th with Scranton, with AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Voit missed the first 34 games of the Yankees. Who went 18-16. He batted .277 last season with 22 homers and 52 RBIs and 213 at-bats over 56 games. He played 56 of the 60 games last season, so he was out there a lot. New York first baseman hit .153, 19 for 124 in his absence with 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 36 strikeouts, and 17 walks. So, big bat to get back in the lineup in a position that needs it big time. In Voigt's absence, Jay Bruce played 10 games at first base and hit .118. That's 4 for 4 to 34 with 1 homer, 3 RBIs, 13 strikeouts, 5 walks, and then retired. Mike Ford played 13 at first and batted .103, 4 for 39 with 2 homers and 4 RBIs, 14 strikeouts, and 6 walks. And DJ LeMahieu played 15 there and hit .282, 11 for 50 with no homers, 3 RBIs, 9 strikeouts, and 6 walks. So LeMahieu is much better. Miguel Andujar had 1 game at first, going 0 for 4. With Voigt's return, LeMahieu figures to get most of his time at second base. The Yankees opened a roster spot for Voit on Sunday when they optioned Andujar to Scranton. So, Voigt's back. I was just thinking about this now, and not really now, but I thought about it, when Talkman and them got released. Remember that whole thing at the beginning of the year? Everyone was deciding who's going to get called up, Bruce or Talkman. Sure enough, Voit went down. That made room for both Bruce and Talkman to come up. Well, we sit here now, heading into the Yankees' 35th game of the season, and neither of them are on the team. Bruce is retired, and Mike Talkman's with the San Francisco Giants, with the NL West leading San Francisco Giants. So that's a lot of times what happens sometimes in sports. Like the whole off-season talk of, will it, like they end up never, the whole hype up to it never is anything. Like everyone's like, who's going to get called up, Talkman or Bruce? And they're not even on the team anymore. Bruce retired, Talkman's playing for the Giants. So, but we get Voit back. That's all that matters. And I think this is going to be a big spark to the New York Yankees lineup. So that's what I got for that. Let's see. Let's get into the New York sports update here, or New York's. I guess you can kind of say like New York sports update, whatever, kind of something like that. But anyway, as for the NBA, yesterday the Trailblazers won, Warriors won, Spurs won, Grizzlies won, Pacers won, and Hawks won. This doesn't really mean much, I'm sure, to many of you, but yesterday there was only one road team that won in the NBA. That was the Pacers, which then eliminated the Raptors. So the Trailblazers, Warriors, Spurs, Grizzlies, and Hawks were all home. That doesn't mean much, but hey, that's the case. And today, a lot of the home teams are favored. Just so happens that way. Anyway, so let's get into road teams, actually. Let's get into today's games. We got the Nuggets, Hornets. I'll give Nuggets the win. Timberwolves, Pistons. I'll give Timberwolves the win. Clippers, Raptors. I'll give Clippers the win. Heat, Celtics. I'll give Heat the win. 76ers, Pacers. Give 76ers the win. Mavericks, Grizzlies. Give Mavericks the win. Bucks, Magic. Give Bucks the win. Lakers, Knicks. Give Lakers the win. Suns, Warriors. Give Suns the win. Kings, Thunder. Give Kings the win. You know what? Take that back. I guess I'll give Knicks the win. Why not? Why not just give them a win? So this is how the Knicks can clinch a playoff spot. So if the Knicks win, they're in. No matter what happens, they're in. If the Knicks lose, the Celtics would have to also lose. Now, if the Celtics win and the Knicks lose, it doesn't mean the Knicks aren't going to make the playoffs. The Knicks would have to really choke down the stretch here. In order for the New York Knicks not to make the playoffs, or at least make the top 8, whatever, they would have to lose their remaining games and just completely flop. And I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think Tom Thibodeau would even let that happen. He's going to play like every game means something. But it would be big, I think, if the Knicks could win. Because then you could start to rest players. You don't have to go into the final 3 games of the year, 2 games left or 1 game playing all your guys. You could rest them and get them ready. Especially for a guy like Julius Randle that's had a big load this season. It's done a lot for the team. So that's how I see it. But anyway, today the Nets also play. Nets come in this game 44-24. Bulls come in this game 29-39. Nets are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 233.5 for this game. This game comes on today, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Yes 2. I'll give the Nets the win. Harden, we got some news yesterday about Harden, which was great news. He's expected to be back. He was scrimmaging yesterday with the Nets at practice, and they say there's a chance. It's not guaranteed, but there's a chance he plays in tomorrow's game, which would be big. So, definitely great to, have him back and ready for the playoffs. As for the NHL, yesterday the Blues won, Avalanche won, Stars won, Predators won, Canucks won, Panthers won, Bruins won, Flyers won, and Oilers won. As for today, we got the Capitals, Bruins, I'll give Capitals the win. Jets, Canucks, I'll give Jets the win. As for the MLB, yesterday the Giants won, Diamondbacks won, Angels won, Reds won, and Orioles won. As for today, we got the Giants, Rangers, I'll give Giants the win. Indians, Cubs, I'll give Indians the win. Pirates, Reds, give Pirates the win. Nationals, Phillies, give Nationals the win. Red Sox, A's, give Red Sox the win. Mets, Orioles, I'll give you a preview of that game here. Royals, Tigers, give Royals the win. Blue Jays, Braves, give Blue Jays the win. Brewers, Cardinals, give Brewers the win. Cheaters, Angels, I'll give Angels the win. White Sox, Twins, give White Sox the win. Padres, Rockies, give Padres the win. Marlins, Diamondbacks, give Marlins the win. And Dodgers, Mariners, give Dodgers the win. Mariners called up Kleinek, the Mariners' top prospect, and I think the third overall prospect in all of the MLB. So he gets called up. So that should be exciting. I'm excited to see what he does. He's been really good, as a prospect. Mets play today against the Orioles. John Means is on the mound for the Orioles. Marcus Stroman's on the mound for the Mets. John Means coming off of pitching a no-hitter. The Mets' bats have heated up a little recently here. Do I go off of John Means' no-hitter, or do I just go off of just plain old John Means, Marcus Stroman pitching battle? I just think the Mets, the Orioles, I think the Mets will win. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game now. I'll leave it at that, low-scoring game. As for the Yankees also play today. Yankees come in this game 18-16. Rays come in this game 19-17. Yankees are 1.5-point favorites. Let's see. I believe they are. So 1.5-point favorites. And, 61% of people are actually taking Tampa Bay. Okay, so the Yankees are, 61% of people say Tampa wins. 51% of people, 51% of people think the Yankees will win. So, that's close. The Yankees got Monty on the mound. And Patino's on the mound for the Rays. Over-under for this game is 8. This game comes on today, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. I don't know. The issue with the Yankees here is they're rolling. They're coming off a 7-2 homestand. Obviously swept the Tigers and it took 2 out of 3 from the Cheaters and the Nationals. But we can't beat the Rays. Deep down inside, I don't think we will win. But with Voit back, you just got to hope they get the win. So I guess you'll get a win. I guess really deep down inside, you just got to say they'll get a win. Hope they get a win. That's what I mean. Like, if you could just take at least 2 or 3, that would be great. The Rays have had our number, though. That's just how it's been. There's not much else you could say about that. But as for fantasy baseball, I am currently losing 17-5. But today I've got going Yerman Mercedes, Luke Voit, Jake Cronenworth, Josh Donaldson, Carlos Correa, Gene Segura, Alex Bregman, Whit Merrifield, Austin Meadows, Victor Robles, Jorge Soler, Dylan Carlson, and Matt Olson. And I got Chris Bassett on the mound. So I made a roster move today. I activated Luke Voigt off the IL, and I dropped Michael Taylor. He was giving me really no production. He wasn't playing well. I was looking to drop him, and I figured, you know what, I'm just going to activate Luke Voigt, and I'll just drop him then. So that's what the roster moves I made today. And, still playing with some things, deciding on who to put in and all that stuff. So that's what I got for that, though. As for fantasy basketball, I'm currently winning 1,711 to 1,512. Today I've got going Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Davis, Jonas Valanciunas, Brett Buddy Hield, and Montrezl Harrell. Injury update is as followed. Davis calf is probable for Tuesday's game against the Knicks. Ryan Ward of LakersNation.com reports. Buddy Hield's also day-to-day. Hield is probable for Tuesday's game against the Thunder due to an ankle injury. Jason Anderson of the Sacramento Bee reports. Siakam's shoulder has been ruled out for Tuesday's game against the Clippers. Aaron Rose of SI.com reports. Kyle Lowry rest has been ruled out for Tuesday's game against the Clippers. Aaron Rose of SI.com reports. And Fred VanVleet rest will not play in Tuesday's game against the Clippers. John Lewinberg of TSN reports. So they're all out. Also, another injury update here is... Alright, so injury update here is followed for Bradley Beal. The Wizards announced that Beal hamstring will be sidelined for games Monday and Wednesday against the Hawks before being reevaluated Friday. And then Jeremy Grant is also out, although this isn't loading now. So, alright, now it is. Grant knee will not be available for Tuesday's game against Minnesota. So that's the injury report there. Lots to report there. As for fantasy hockey, I'm currently losing 339 to 286. But today I've got going Nicholas Backstrom, Brock Beausier, and that's it. Injury update is as followed for this. Nicholas Backstrom. Backstrom lower body will return to the lineup for Tuesday's game versus Boston. Tariq El Basher of The Athletic reports. So that's the update on him. And, yeah, that's what I got there. So, fantasy hockey, it's like, there's still some games playing. But, it's just, I'm thinking about if I should just roll with it and just, face the fact that, the season's pretty much done. There's a couple games here and there. Or do I go all out to try and make this comeback, pick up, as many players as I can from those teams, and try to win. I just don't know. The Canucks, for example, they have a lot of games still to play. So do I just try to go out and get a bunch of Canucks players, and just try to make a comeback? I was thinking about trying to go out and maybe get a Canucks goalie, but I think he's already taken. And I was thinking about that, going out and getting a bunch of players that still have games to play, and just trying to make a comeback. It's a fair way to play. It's not cheating. I'm losing by 50. So I would need a whole lot of points out of players. But, I guess anything to try to win, I guess. But I'll think about it. I don't know. But with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast here today. Another great podcast. As always, tomorrow we got the NFL schedule. I'll review that, talk about, some of the games. I'll talk about some of the maybe primetime games we could see, who the Jets could play, who are the Jets going to play, week one and all that. It seems like every year it's the Buffalo Bills, but that could very well be the case again, but we'll see how it all plays out. I'd also like to see, all the primetime games. So that should be good. But with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.